It started on a Thursday night at the restaurant that had become our spot. Same table by the window, same pasta order, same routine we'd built over years of being together. Jessica and I had been a couple for nearly 4 years, living together for 2, and I thought things were solid, comfortable, maybe too comfortable. Halfway through dinner, she set her fork down, looked me straight in the eye, and said, "Derek, we need to talk about us." Those words never end well. What came next was a laundry list of complaints about me as a boyfriend. "You're suffocating me. You're always there, always texting, always wanted to do everything together. I need a man who has his own life, his own interests. You're too clingy." Her words stung, but deep down I knew she wasn't entirely wrong. Over time, I had let my friendships fade, stopped going to my basketball league, and turned down guys' nights because I thought being with her meant always choosing her. And the kicker? Half the time when I canceled plans, we didn't even do anything special. We just sat at home, watching Netflix in silence. She went on for nearly an hour, listing every time I'd been too available, every time I'd made her my #1 priority. She told me she wanted space, mystery, independence, like I was supposed to suddenly become some brooding romance novel character instead of the guy who loved her enough to be there. When she finally finished, I asked, "So what do you want me to do?" She shrugged, annoyed. "I don't know, Derek. Join a club, get some hobbies. Stop making me your only priority. Be interesting again." That night, lying in bed beside her while she scrolled TikTok without even glancing at me, something shifted. She was right in a way I don't think she expected. I had lost myself in this relationship. I wasn't Derek anymore. I was just Jessica's boyfriend. And the contempt in her voice, the way she said it, lit something in me. The next morning I told her over coffee, "You're right. I'll work on it." She smiled, kissed my cheek, and said, "Good, this'll be good for us." But it wouldn't be good for us. It would be good for me. The first step I took was picking up the phone and calling Trevor, my old friend I hadn't talked to in nearly a year. Jessica had always disapproved of him, said he was a bad influence because he liked to stay out past midnight. When he answered, he laughed. "Bro, I thought you died." I told him I'd been in relationship hibernation and asked if he wanted to grab a beer. That one beer turned into me rejoining our old basketball league, with games twice a week and practice some weekends. From there, momentum carried me forward. I finally signed up for the woodworking class I'd been eyeing for years. Every Monday evening, I learned how to work with my hands, to create something real and lasting. I found a cycling group that rode early Sunday mornings, and the first time I dragged myself out of bed at 6 a.m. to ride with them, I felt alive in a way I hadn't in years. I started going to the gym at lunch instead of spending that time glued to my phone, waiting for Jessica to text me back. I even dusted off some freelance design work on the side, not for money, but for the satisfaction of flexing a skill I'd neglected. Slowly but surely, I built a life outside of Jessica, a life that wasn't waiting for her approval. At first, she seemed pleased. "See, this is healthy," she said with a smile when I told her about basketball. But then the shift started. Week 3, she began to question me. "Basketball again? Didn't you just go on Tuesday?" she asked on a Thursday night. When Trevor invited me on a weekend fishing trip, I didn't ask Jessica if it was okay. I just said yes. When I told her I'd be gone Friday to Sunday, she frowned. "But that's Brittany's birthday party Saturday." I shrugged. "Sorry, I'll miss it. I'll get her a gift from both of us." The confusion, almost panic on her face was hard to miss. That fishing trip was incredible. No cell service, just a couple of days off the grid with friends. When I came back, I had 32 texts from Jessica, escalating from casual to annoyed to furious. "How's it going?" turned into "hello." Then, "Seriously, Derek, this is ridiculous." When I walked through the door Sunday night, she was pouty. "I texted you all weekend." I told her calmly, "I said I was going fishing. Lakes don't usually have cell towers." She huffed, but dropped it. But that night she was suddenly clingy. super affectionate, asking about every detail of my week, even pretending to care about basketball statistics she'd never asked about before. It was strange, almost desperate, but I let it slide. The truth was clear. The life she demanded I build was real, and she was no longer the center of it. And that terrified her.
By the second month, the transformation was undeniable. I had a full, thriving life, and Jessica didn't know what to do with it. Monday nights were woodworking, Tuesday and Thursday were basketball games, Wednesday was poker night, Sunday mornings were cycling, and lunches were for the gym. I was busier, healthier, happier, and finally reading books again instead of sitting silently on the couch while she scrolled through endless reality shows. For the first time in years, I had friends, hobbies, and independence. And instead of celebrating that, Jessica started to panic. She accused me of abandoning me. One morning over breakfast, while we sat across the same table we'd sat at hundreds of times before, she blurted out, "Derek, we never see each other anymore." I just blinked at her. "Jess, we live together. We're literally eating breakfast right now." But she shook her head. "That's not quality time. When's the last time we went on a date?" I reminded her that she'd been the one who said I was suffocating her, that I was always around. Now she didn't want distance. She wanted control. What she meant by space was that she wanted me to stop being clingy, but remain permanently available whenever she decided to notice me. She wanted me to entertain myself when she was bored, but never be so busy that she wasn't the center of my world. That realization became crystal clear when she tried to infiltrate my new life. She showed up uninvited to one of my Sunday rides, huffing and puffing the entire time, complaining about hills, sweating, and declaring she could learn to love exercise. She never came back. Next came basketball. "Maybe I can come watch," she said. I told her it was just a rec league, not worth spectating, but she showed up anyway. She sat in the bleachers, sighing loudly, texting on her phone, asking every few minutes when the game would be over. She didn't care about being there. She just couldn't stand that she wasn't included. When woodworking became her next target, she said, "I should sign up too. We could make things together." I lied and told her the class was full. It wasn't, but by then I knew boundaries were necessary if I wanted to keep this new version of myself alive. The final nail came from Trevor, of all people. He sent me a screenshot one night. Jessica had messaged him on Facebook. "Hey, Trev. Planning anything fun with Derek soon? Would love to join you guys. He keeps forgetting to mention when you're hanging out." Trevor's response was blunt, but fair. "He doesn't forget. These are guys' nights." Jessica was furious. She called Trevor rude, accused him of exploiting her, and sulked for days. I realized then it wasn't about me building a life. It was about her losing control over it. The tipping point happened when I got promoted at work. Old Derek would have called Jessica from the boss's office to share the news. New Derek went to lunch with colleagues and celebrated quietly. 3 days later, during dinner, I mentioned it offhand. She froze, fork in midair. "You got promoted? When?" "Monday." "It's Thursday. You didn't think to tell me immediately?" I shrugged. "I'm telling you now." That set her off. "I'm your girlfriend. I should be the first person you tell me." I looked her dead in the eye and said, "I thought you wanted me to stop making you my only priority." Silence followed, because she knew I was right. She hadn't wanted me to grow. She had wanted me to be just independent enough to stop annoying her, but still dependent enough that she stayed the center of my world. Her behavior spiraled from there. She started snooping through my phone while I showered. One night I walked out to see her holding it, scrolling through messages. "Who's Amanda?" she demanded. I told her Amanda was a woman in my cycling group who sometimes joined us for post-ride coffee with 5 or 6 others. Jessica's face twisted. "You didn't tell me there were women in your cycling group. You're cheating on me with 6 women at once, aren't you?" I laughed. "Wrong move." "That seems exhausting," I said. She threw my phone at me and stormed out. The next day, she issued an ultimatum. "I want you to quit the cycling group." I told her flatly, "No. I've lost 15 pounds, I feel amazing, and I'm not quitting." "There are other ways to exercise," she snapped. "Yeah, but I like this one." That night, she tried seduction. Lingerie, candles, the works. Old Derek would have dropped everything. New Derek said, "You look great, babe, but I've got woodworking tonight. We're presenting our projects." She ripped off the lingerie in a rage and sulked the rest of the night. When that didn't work, she escalated again. She started crashing my activities, showing up at basketball games, coincidentally grabbing coffee at the same cafe as my cycling group, even bringing snacks to Trevor's guys' night. The guys were polite, but Trevor pulled me aside and asked, "Dude, is she okay?" The breaking point came at the gym. My sacred lunch workouts had become my peace, but she started showing up at my office unannounced, so I moved them to Saturday mornings. That day, she called me 15 times in 2 hours. When I finally checked my phone, the text had gone from friendly to furious. "Hey, want sushi?" turned into, "Seriously, Derek, this is ridiculous. Answer me. If you're with that cycling beep bleep bleep, I swear." And sure enough, she was waiting in the parking lot when I came out, screaming that I was punishing her, that I had abandoned her. People were staring. One guy recorded the whole thing. I stood there calmly and said, "Jessica, go home, we'll talk later." She refused. "No, we talk now. You've turned into someone I don't even know." I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Funny, I feel more like myself than I have in years." She froze, because she knew exactly what that meant. 3 days later, she pulled her final trick by calling my mom. My mother phoned me crying, saying Jessica was devastated, that I had changed, that she didn't know how to reach me anymore. But then my mom, bless her, said the one thing that sealed it. "Didn't she tell you were too clingy? Seems like you fixed the problem." That was all I needed to hear. The next morning, I sat Jessica down and ended it. She begged, promised she'd give me more space, swore she could fix it, accused me of leaving her for Amanda. I shook my head. "No, Jessica, this isn't about Amanda. This is about me realizing I like myself better when I'm not making someone else my entire personality." She moved out that weekend in a storm of drama, posting on social media that I had abandoned her after she'd only wanted boundaries. My favorite response came from Trevor's girlfriend, who commented, "Didn't you literally tell him he had no life?" Jessica blocked her instantly. She still tried reaching out, texts about missing me, about seeing me ride past the coffee shop, about how she's working on herself. But I haven't responded, because the truth is, I'm happy. I have a full life, a strong circle of friends, hobbies that make me feel alive, and even a new spark with Natalie, a friend of Amanda's from the cycling group. The irony is, I probably would have been Jessica's clingy, boring boyfriend forever if she hadn't opened her mouth that night at dinner. But she told me to get a life, so I did. And it turned out that life didn't have room for her.